What's up, everybody, and welcome to The Horror Within Me, a podcast dedicated to the world of horror. I am your host, Eric, and each week I'm going to rate and review a new movie or TV show that falls within the horror genre. Now, this is a show for horror fans, hosted by a horror fan who's just here to share my opinions and experiences with my fellow horror friends in hopes that you may gain something new to watch or not watch, and really just talk about all things related to this beautifully dark and spooky world that we call horror. So if this sounds like a show for you, stick around. We're going to have a lot of fun. So let's get started. Hi, and welcome back to a brand new Spooky Sunday episode of The Horror Within Me. I am your host, Eric, and this is a podcast where I do horror movie reviews and interviews. We are in the second week of October, and that means it is the second episode for my Halloween favorites series, where I'm going to be doing my top 5 Halloween movies I'd like to watch, or movies I'd like to watch in the Halloween season. Last week we did Night of the Demons 2, and before I reveal this week's episode, which you already know in the title, I wanted to point out that the actress that played Shirley in Night of the Demons 2, I just found out on someone commented on my Instagram post and let me know that she had unfortunately passed away in September. So we say rest in peace to her, and we loved her portrayal of Shirley in Night of the Demons 2. This week's episode is going to be on the 2009 film Trick or Treat with Sam. I'm so excited. What a great film. And obviously, just a little disclaimer out there. Some of my episodes are movies I love. Some of them are movies that I didn't like. Obviously, spoiler alert, the Halloween favorites series are going to be movies that I love. So doesn't mean that we're not going to find bad reviews for them on IMDb, but the end result, most likely, obviously, we know I love the movie. So still going to be a lot of fun. I remember when I first saw Trick or Treat, it was just amazing, and I can't wait to get into the details of the film and what other people thought about the film. But I just want to do a little uh, recap of my life right now. It's been very crazy, and if you're following socials, you might know some things. But 2 weeks ago, I had to put down my best friend, my girl, Coco. She was 13 years old. She was a pit bull with one blue eye, one brown eye, and she was my baby and my best friend, and I miss her. She was a trooper. We called her a soul stealer because every time we thought something was going down with her, she always perked right back up and another animal around like passed away. It was very strange. So we thought she was going to live forever, but unfortunately, a couple weeks ago, I had to take her to the vet um, because she just wasn't eating as much anymore, and her belly was getting hard but swollen. And unfortunately, looks like she had cancer that had spread, and one of her tumors had ruptured and was bleeding into her abdomen that was filling with blood. So it was only going to be a matter of hours or a day or so before it ultimately killed her. And so my husband and I came to the decision that we were going to relieve her of that, suffering and not allow it to get to a point that was inevitable of it being very bad. I miss her, but I feel that I feel comfort knowing that she was able to have such an amazing final day with her dad's and just went to sleep so peacefully. Anyone living should hope to have such a long, happy life with such a peaceful end. It's not a gift that many creatures on this planet get. So I'm happy that I was able to give that to her. But then our other dog, Dayla, got sick and she ate some bad food and she was had to go to the vet, and we were scared that she wasn't going to make it because she was vomiting and having really bad diarrhea with blood, and it was just a very scary thing. But thankfully, she's on a bunch of medicine now. She's doing much, much better. So we're very happy because this past Monday, October 2nd, was our 2-year wedding anniversary. And we never went on a honeymoon. We never really did anything big last year. And so we have planned to go to Salem for the weekend of October 6th. Obviously, this is being recorded before this trip has happened, but when you're listening to this, I should already be in Salem if you're listening on this Sunday. But very exciting that we're able to go. My sister and niece will be here babysitting Dayla and Leo, taking care of them in the house. We have everything, all our spooky decorations are up out there and outside, and just getting into the Halloween spirit. It's just, I'm a horror fan all year long, but there's just something more magical at the Halloween season, especially in October, that just really brings things to life. So I'm so excited to go to Salem and visit like the Halloween museum and see the Hocus Pocus house and see like the witch trial house and just really just get into everything that Salem has to offer. I've seen some TikToks, so we are very excited to go celebrate our 2-year wedding anniversary / our first official honeymoon for our anniversary, because we have a lot going on too. Because I don't know if anyone else knows this, but we are also in the process of starting the adoption process to adopt a baby. Our lives are busy, our lives are crazy, but we love them and we work very hard at them. And that's just my personal thing that I'm putting out here to the world. So be kind. But that's it. That's what's going on with everything there. I hope everyone else is enjoying Halloween spooky season. And if you aren't following me on socials, go and follow me, because while these are my top 5 Halloween favorites, I am doing 31 days of Halloween, 31 days of horror, where every day I'm recommending a different horror movie or spooky movie to watch during the Halloween season. So if you're not following, go follow me on Twitter or /X, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can go to the link tree that is got all the social channels, or just go to the horrorwithinme.com to find all the links at the bottom. Let's move on to the actual bulk of this week's episode, though. We're at episode 59, guys. I know it's a season 2 because I broke it off, but we're still at episode 59. And again, I said it's going to be on Trick or Treat, which is in 2009. And before we get into the IMDb synopsis and who's starring in it, we're going to take a moment where we do this week's terrifying trivia question. This week's terrifying trivia question is, what is the name of Sam's chocolate bar weapon? Stick around to the end of the show to get the answer. That was a tongue twister for me. Chocolate bar weapon. I don't know why I can't say it. Anyway, I thought that was a fun question. I'm so curious if anyone knows it off the top of their head. I didn't even know it off the top of my head. We recently just bought the movie too because I didn't have it on Blu-ray, and I saw it at FYE a few weeks ago, and I really wanted it, and it was like $30, and I had other movies in there, so I was like, oh, I can't get it yet. And then I said something to my husband about it. I wanted it as one of my movies on the podcast, and he was like, okay, I'll go on my lunch, I'll go get it. And he did, but when he got home, we didn't know. And when I opened it, it's the FYE exclusive Steelbook, but it's crushed. Like the Steelbook, like when you open it, it's like disconnected and crushed at the top. And I'm really sad about it. But the movie itself, it looks fine. It's not scratched or cracked or anything, but $30 for the FYE exclusive, and I can't find it. And I'm like sad about that. Anyway, moving over to IMDb, the synopsis for Trick or Treat is 5 interwoven stories that occur on Halloween. An everyday high school principal has a secret life as a serial killer. A college virgin might have just met the guy for her. A group of teenagers pull a mean prank. A woman who loathes the night has to contend with her holiday-obsessed husband, and a mean old man meets his match with a demonic, supernatural trick-or-treater. Trick or Treat is starring Anna Paquin as Laurie, Brian Cox as Mr. Krieg, Dylan Baker as Steven, Rochelle Aites as Maria, Quinn Lord as Sam, Lauren Lee Smith as Danielle, Monica Delane as Janet, Tomo Pennicott as Henry, Brett Kelly as Charlie, Britt McKillop as Macy, and Leslie Bibb as Emma. Trick or Treat was released October 6, 2009, so it's just hit 14 years this past Friday. It was directed by Michael Daltrey, produced by Bryan Singer, written by Michael Daltrey, has a rating of R, a runtime of 1 hour and 22 minutes. The genre is comedy and horror. The tagline is poison, drowning, claw, or knife, so many ways to take a life. The IMDb rating is 6.7 out of 10, has a Rotten Tomatoes rating with a tomato meter of 82% and an audience score of 72%. Now, let's back up a little bit. The tagline is fucking great. I never knew the tagline to Trick or Treat. I fucking love it. The little rhyme poison, drowning, claw, or knife. So many ways to take a life. I feel like it could be like a children's like skipping song or something. I know I'm demented, but I love it. Now, onto the Rotten Tomato ratings, the audience score of 10% less than the tomato meter. I just feel like they didn't rate it right on here because I'm in this community. And I don't know anyone that is in the horror community that is not a huge fan of Trick or Treat. No one. I've never seen it. So I'm confused on why it's only a 72% on the audience score. Um, Scroll back up for a minute. Quinn Lord as Sam. He was at Monster Mania. I was at a few months ago, and I thought it was super cool. I didn't get a chance to go meet him, but I really wish I would have. And Leslie Bibb was in a show I used to watch called Popular, and I just thought it was. Anyone else ever hear of Popular? It was so fucking great. I think it was like 2 seasons, and I loved it. You know who else was in it? The girl from American Horror Story. I think her name was Leslie Gross. God, I'm just stalling, but yeah, she was also in it as Mary Cherry or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm old. Anyway, that is the IMDb basic on paper information. It's time to do the top 3 best and worst reviews for the 2009 film Trick or Treat on IMDb. Doing the best reviews first, number 1 is titled A Halloween Tradition. This was written in September of 2021. The review is ever since this came out, it's been a favorite in my house. Intertwining stories tell tales of horror and Sam Hain as the little girl. Oh my god. I messed this whole review up. We're going to rewind. I need glasses. I'm going to read this again. Ever since this came out, it's been a favorite in my house. Intertwining stories tell tales of horror on Sam Hain as the little pumpkin headed Sam roams the streets causing mayhem and collecting candy along the way. A group of women are on the prowl for dates to a feast in the woods while kids tease and trick a girl with a story of a bus crash in the local quarry. The characters cross paths and eventually get what's coming to them as the film comes to a satisfying end. Still holding out for a sequel, especially as Sam has become such a huge Halloween icon. Can I just say I apologize? I don't know where the girl thing came from. I don't know what I was fucking reading at the beginning. But anyway, I love this because of the title itself to a Halloween tradition because it is. It is definitely a Halloween tradition. It is a favorite in this house, and it is literally one of my husband's favorites too. And again, you know, if you've listened, he's not the biggest horror guy, but he does love his Scream movies, and he loves Trick or Treat, and he loves Sam. Like, just loves him. If you could see the Sam behind me, that's in my room. It's actually his. He bought that from Spirit a couple years ago. Like he just loves Sam. I thought it was so cool. Great review. I don't have too much. It does a little recap about like the different things. I thought it was a good review, but I picked it because it says a Halloween tradition. Moving on to the next review, titled "One of the Best Horror Films to Grace the Screen in Years." Now, this was written in October of 2009, so it was written the month that and year that the film was released. The review is I went to this movie Friday, October 2nd, at a showing in LA where director Michael Daltrey was also present. I was simply blown away by this film. It has been well over a decade since the last notable horror anthology graced the screens. Let me note that this is also not your typical horror movie. It has more twists and turns than meets the eye initially. While some may question the gore, I feel it's the right amount without taking away from the rest of the plot. The characters, plot, and setting in the Midwest make this movie one of the must see horror films of the year, if not the decade. If you get a chance to buy it, do so. Rent it, do so. You will not be disappointed. I picked this because it was written in the year, like it was just released. Also, October 2nd, which is my anniversary, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Um, I agree. I thought it was funny that they were like, I was at the LA showing that the director was at, like just throwing out there like some cred there. Good for you. Good for you though, because I would have done the same thing. But I was like, that's pretty fun. Um, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know a lot of horror movie anthology films as much as I knew like anthology series. But I know Creepshow is an anthology, and I never watched it. And I love the TV series, so I definitely need to watch the movies. Anyway, it's not. You're right. It's not your typical horror movie. It does have a lot of twists and turns. I think the review is pretty good. I think it hits the nail that it's one of the best must see horror films of the year and decade and longer now. And 100% agree. Moving on to the last best review. It is so short. It's titled Trick or Treat. It was written in November 2018. And here it is. Perhaps the most stylish film about Halloween in movie history. Michael Daltrey is able to incorporate the best aspects of horror and Halloween into this frightful delight that conveys the creepy atmosphere we have all grown to love about the spooky holiday. 150,000 fucking percent picked it because it hits the nail on the fucking head. It is correct. It hits the best aspects of both horror and Halloween. It is the right atmosphere for the holiday. Like watching Trick or Treat, you feel like it is Halloween night. It hits it perfectly, and I felt like that review needed to be said, especially if you've never seen this. It is if you're looking for something to give you that Halloween, the holiday, not the movie, the Halloween feel. Trick or Treat is your go-to movie. But that's the top three best reviews, right? We need to pick up and look at the top three worst reviews for Trick or Treat on IMDb. The first one is titled Awful, Not Scary Movie. This was written September of 2009, which is weird because, okay. The scariest thing about this film was how much time I wasted watching it. It was a kid's movie with boobs. There wasn't anything scary about it. If you want to feel nostalgic about Halloween, then look through childhood photos of yourself dressed as a pirate. It will be truer, and you won't feel as angry when you're done. The acting was bad, the stories were bad, the effects were awful. There was nothing thrilling, scary, gory, or even remotely interesting about this movie. It confounds me that so many people have voted this movie up so high. I really cannot see the appeal. The movie was cheap, poorly made, and worst of all, here we go in all caps, not scary at all. Now, here's the thing. I think it's funny that. Hold on for a second. Here we go. I had to look this up real quick. I have to do a disclaimer and I have to back up for a second. It's 17 minutes into this, but I made a mistake. I said in the beginning that this was released in October of 2009, and it actually was in the United States, but it came out 2 years earlier somewhere else. So some of these reviews that are written in 2007 that makes sense to me. So the movie's actually 16 years old. So that makes a lot more sense to me. So sorry, wanted to throw that in there. Now back to this review. Love the first sentence. The scariest thing about this film was how much time I wasted watching it. That's scary for you. I agree. Yeah, like why'd you continue watching it? It was a kids movie with boobs. I don't feel like no. No, that's not true. Not true at all. It was definitely scary. If you want to feel nostalgic about Halloween, then look to childhood photos of yourself dressed as a pirate. That is so specific. So specific. What if nobody was ever I wasn't a pirate as a kid at all. You won't feel as angry when you're done. I don't get like how I don't get your reference. Look at childhood photos to be truer than watching Trick or Treat. Why? Why? It confounds me that so many people have voted this movie up so high. It was cheap, poorly made, and worst of all, not scary at all. I don't know what you watched, but your review was trash. And how about that? Moving on to the next worst review for Trick or Treat on IMDb. Titled, If You're Bored, Maybe. If You're in the Mood for Horror, Avoid This. Okay. This was in September 2009. I want to keep this short since you shouldn't waste your time reading this when you could be out looking for great horror movies. Okay. There's nothing scary in this movie, no originality, and no interesting stories. I don't know how this movie has gotten praise since it's boring. Oh, but it sets the mood of Halloween so great. That's not enough to make it a good movie. This movie relies on tits and a little monster to keep things alive. The little monster appears in the end of the movie when you're already sleeping, and the tits appear randomly throughout the movie. Av- Avoid this if you're looking for a good scare. The fuck? I thought it was funny that it was like, um, you shouldn't waste your time reading this when you could be out looking for a great horror movie. I agree. You shouldn't even waste your time reading this, but I felt like I was going to anyway. So you were right. Your review was trash. It's not enough to make it a good movie. It relies on tits and a little monster. I think that that is what the synopsis for Trick or Treat should be. 5 stories interwoven that rely on tits and a little monster. That's the synopsis for Trick or Treat. It'll boost that audience score on fucking Rotten Tomatoes up from 72% to probably 92 at least. If you put relies on tits and a little monster, them motherfucking horror fans will be on it. That's what we need. You think it was a bad review? It's a good review. It's a good review. You thought you were saying something bad about it, but we love some tits and little monsters in horror. Okay, it's staples, staples. So, jokes on you, buddy. Moving on to the last worst review for Trick or Treat on IMDb. It's titled "Should Have Been Dumped," written in September of 2014. Oh god, they're already incorrect, but I'm gonna read it and then we can talk about it. 4 interwoven stories, none of which develops entirely or grabs your interest. I love a good Halloween movie and horror movie in general, and this may be the worst ever. Tacky, boring, and the plot has too many holes to deal with. Upon watching the original trailer, I could not wait to see this movie and could not understand the issues with its release and straight to DVD move when it finally happened. After watching it, I could not understand how any production company could fund such garbage. Hocus Pocus was much more terrifying than this chop job. Chop job. I wouldn't think any kid with a little ambition and rich parent could a fund and produce a movie much better. It went for hip, creative, and clever, and ended up nowhere near any of the three. I asked around with other horror buffs and film lovers in general, and not once has anybody came through with a positive review. Movies like this make me upset. I left LA and did not continue the dream in quotation marks. It proves once again talent has little to do with success in the industry, and it is truly who you know. This bitch ain't bitter about not making it in Hollywood at all. I mean, this seems like you're just so upset. It's who you know. I don't work in Hollywood, but I do understand there is a part of networking, but there is another group of people in any industry about making good content, making good impressions, doing good and practicing your craft no matter what you're in, and putting in the work is a part of things as well. And networking, it is who you know. Fucking network, but you can't just know and then get trash. Like you're trying to say this movie was trash, and then you lie and say all your horror buffs, and nobody came through saying it was good. Liar. I don't know anyone that's real horror fans. I'll use the term real horror fans. I can't believe that even came out of my mouth. But I don't know anyone that I have seen that does not love Trick or Treat. Maybe that's just my algorithm, but I don't know anyone that doesn't love this movie. And here we go with picking a fucking one movie out of the other. Hocus Pocus was scarier than this. Why do they do it? Why? And it's 5 interwoven stories, not 4, you fucking idiot. And that concludes the top 3 best and worst reviews for Trick or Treat. All right, let's talk about what I liked the most about the movie Trick or Treat. I feel like I need to have some some sound in there that's like, "Hey Eric, what did you like most about Trick or Treat?" I'm like, great question. What I liked most about Trick or Treat was the character of Sam, but also the twist with the Little Red Riding Hood aspect of the film. Loved it. I'm not gonna give it away. But if you know, you know. But fucking Sam is adorable in the funny and spooky and scary. I just love Sam. Iconic character. Love him. All right, he's gonna do it again. Well, what did you like the least about it? You like my voiceover? Here we go. Great. What I liked the least about it is that I think the movie could have been a little longer. At under an hour and a half, I feel like we could have hit that hour and a half mark. We could have added a little bit more content. I love the movie, but I just think it could have been a little longer. It was too short because it was so good. I could have done 2 hours, at least an hour and a half. But that's what I liked the least and what I liked the most about the movie Trick or Treat. Now, it's time to take a break and answer this week's terrifying trivia question. So, if you don't remember, the terrifying trivia question is, what is the name of Sam's chocolate bar weapon? And the answer is a holly ho. I don't think it's a real chocolate bar, but they sell like the razor blade thing at Spirit. I have the lollipop knife thing over here too, but I don't have the holly ho, but I think I should get the holly ho. Oh, fun fact though, I was fucking Sam for Halloween a few years ago. And when I didn't have the mask on, I had like orange pumpkin paint on my face. And I'm sure I should post it on social media just to show you guys. But I fucking love Trick or Treat. But the holly ho, I didn't know what it was. I couldn't think of the name. And I'm so curious if anybody else got it. So, moving on to the last part before we get to the final review is it's time to find out the number of kills in Trick or Treat. So, my friends on the internet, after Googling, looking for the number of kills for Trick or Treat, I found a site, the Dead Meat Fandom, that says there are 27 kills in Trick or Treat. So thank you to the Dead Meat Fandom for that fun fact. And we have reached the point of the show where it is time. Why do I do that? I always say it is time. It is time. I think I need that on a shirt or a hat. Anyway, let's do my rating and final review for Trick or Treat. So if you weren't paying attention, I said I have the lollipop pumpkin knife thing. So that's what we're going to use, pumpkin lollipops, as the rating system. And I give Trick or Treat a 10 out of 10 lollipops. I think it is perfect. It is just great. Here's my final review. Trick or Treat brings us 5 different terrifying tales of people in the same town on the same Halloween night. What sets this movie apart from others is its ability to provide viewers with the classic monsters, atmosphere, and tension we expect when watching a Halloween-themed horror movie, but also brings in new tales to make it fresh. This is definitely a must watch every Halloween. So where can you watch Trick or Treat? Trick or Treat is available to rent on YouTube for $3.99 and other places, but I picked YouTube because it's the most popular. Go and rent it. I highly, highly recommend. And that concludes this week's episode. Thank you for joining me. Until next week for the 3rd Halloween favorite, stay tuned. Check me out on socials. Hit me up. But that's it, everyone. Stay safe. Stay spooky. Thanks again for joining me on another episode of The Horror Within Me. Please rate and review the show on whatever platform you're listening in from. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to get notified when new episodes drop. I'm also on all major social channels, so be sure to check out my website, www.thehorrorwithinme.com, for all those links. And until next time, my friends, stay spooky.